everyone. Warm welcome to the video lecture on the essay Dalits and the Mangrove Forest Region. This lesson that we are going to study today is an excerpt from the autobiography of Kallen Pokkudan entitled My Life. I know most of you will be familiar with Kallen Pokkudan. He was also known as Kandal Pokkudan because he was deeply concerned with the protection of Kandal forest in Kerala. He was an environmental activist who dedicated his life for the preservation of Kandal forest in Kerala and was also involved in planting Kandal saplings from 1989 onwards. Kallen Pokkudan was born in 1937 at Ezhumoola near Payyanur in Kannur district. He belongs to the Dalit community, and the injustice and the exploitation that he had to face as a Dalit are clearly depicted in this autobiography. His life mission was to protect the mangroves, which are facing a great threat due to the developmental activities spread across the coastal lines of Kerala. During an interview with him in 2014, he told me that he had planted over 1 lakh mangrove plants all over Kerala. He spoke very passionately about mangroves and how important mangroves were in maintaining the balance of the ecosystem. He founded the Mangrove School and conducted numerous classes in various parts of the state in an attempt to educate the masses about the ecological importance of mangroves. Pokkudan has written several books, even though he was a dropout from school at a very young age due to financial instability in his family. Ende Jeevitham or My Life and Kandal Kadugalkidayil Ende Jeevitham, that is My Life Among the Mangrove Forests, are his 2 autobiographical works. Chutachi and Kandal Inangal are books that show his keen observation of the natural world. Kandal Inangal gives us a clear description of the various species of mangroves found in Kerala. He died on September 27 in 2015. Now, to tell you something about the mangroves. Mangroves are a special type of vegetation which are found in the intertidal regions where freshwater and saltwater intermix. Mangrove ecosystems are unique and are extremely rich in biodiversity. These are trees which are ecologically significant, as I've told you earlier. It plays a great role in maintaining the ecological balance. Mangroves protect the land against cyclones and tsunamis. It prevents coastal erosion, and it is considered as a kidney of our Mother Earth as it purifies the rivers. Mangroves have the ability to store vast amounts of carbon and are key weapons in the fight against climate change. He was very much aware of these aspects of the mangroves and dedicated his life for it. His life has been documented in biography named Pokkudan Ezhudatha Atmagatha, written by Taha Madai. A film, Sthalam, has been made on the life of Pokkudan in 2012 by Shiva Prasad. Pokkudan has also acted in a feature film, Papilio Buddha, by Jayan Cherian in 2013. He was one of the protagonists of this film, which focuses on the environmental and spiritual aspects of life. Pokkudan received many awards for his efforts to preserve mangroves of Kerala. P.V. Thambi Memorial Endowment Award, Bhumi Mitra Award, Vanamitra Award of the Kerala Forest and Wildlife Department are some of them. The government of Kerala honored him with the Haritha Vyakti Award in 2010. Okay, now let's go through the lesson in detail. This lesson talks about the deep bond between the Dalits and the mangrove forests. What I found in Kandal forest regions was Dalit people who eked out their livelihood from Kandal forests, backwater prawn and paddy fields. The Dalits eked out their livelihood from Kandal forest, backwater prawn and paddy fields. Eked out means to obtain something through hard work or effort. So they tried, that is, the Dalits tried very hard in order to obtain a livelihood out of these. They depended greatly on the mangroves for their livelihood and existence. Local and migratory birds nested in the Kandal groves. Below, among the roots lived fish, prawn, crabs, malignal, kaipamp, beavers, the greater bandicoot rats, watercrows and tortoise. So there were lots of other organisms which depended on the Kandal groves, like the local and the migratory birds, that is, the birds which came from different areas as well as the birds that lived in that area itself. Then fish, prawn, crabs, malignal. Malignal is Indian mottled eel. You can see the picture here. Then kaipamp, a small snake. Then beavers, the semi-aquatic rodents. The greater bandicoot rats, that is, which belongs to the species of rodent itself. Then watercrows and tortoise. So all these organisms too depended on the Kandal forest. Dalit people and peasants who were working as fishermen and farming folk had knowledge of the different forms of life, and they made a livelihood out of them. Okay, so in the next paragraph, he gives us a picture of the feudal system which existed in Kerala in the earlier times. He talks about the landlords like Murikan of Kuttanad, who controlled the life of the people and the nature around them. Murikan of Kuttanad is Joseph Murikan, who reclaimed the backwaters for paddy cultivation in the 1930s. This was done on the inspiration from Chitira Tirunal, the then Maharaja of Travancore, for increasing paddy production in the context of widespread poverty and hunger during the Second World War. He was also known as Kayal Mannen, that is, Murikan of Kuttanad was also known as Kayal Mannen. The landlords like him exercised complete authority over the Dalits, and they exploited the Dalits. In Pokkudan's view, landlords like him caused great damage and distress to both the biosphere as well as the Dalit people. Earlier, Dalits were not paid in cash for their labor. Instead, they were paid in kind, that is, they were given products like rice, coconut, etc. for their labor. It was only after the struggles led by social reformers like Ayyangali and the rise of social organizations, things began to change. Okay, now moving on to the next paragraph. Most of the bunds of Kannur district were also set up by feudal lords of the time for farming. Later, these were leased to people on annual basis for fishing. That is, bunds were built across the rivers to slow down water runoff, increase water infiltration, and prevent soil erosion. It is one of the most common techniques used in agriculture to collect surface runoff. Now, these were most often set up by the feudal lords of the time. After that, these were leased to the people on annual basis for fishing. They followed a pattern due to which the land will be protected from saltwater surge, kept dry and tilled during mid-January to mid-March. And after that, with the arrival of the rainy season, the prepared paddy seeds will be sown and the seeds are said to sprout in fresh water. He introduces two new terms here, that is Nilakottu and Nilavida. Okay, what do you mean by Nilakottu and Nilavida? He has given us the definition. The preparation of the land by tilling is called Nilakottu, and the word for the sowing of the sprouting seeds is Nilavida. So these are the two terms introduced here, and this system of paddy cultivation came to be known as Kaipadu farming. The seeds used were Chorverian, Orthidian, Kudir, Okakadir, Kayamakudir, or Kayama, and Kudlivit. Now, this kind of farming turned unprofitable, and a new one was introduced by a feudal lord, Mukan Hassan. So, this new method involved planting or sowing seeds on small soil mounds, that is, small heaps, and this was how the backwaters or brackish water paddy farming of Kannur developed. Now, this Mukan Hassan, he came across this method somewhere on his journeys, and this method gained national attention, and Nehru awarded Hassan with an iron plough and prize money. And during the World War II, that is during the Second World War, poverty and hunger gripped the people, and during this period, vast areas of Kandals were cleared for cultivation of rice. It gave rise to the beginning of large-scale homogeneous paddy farming. However, this in turn affected the biodiversity and the mangrove ecosystem. And Dalits were co-opted or incorporated into the labor system. They were employed to do all the hard manual labor. Feudal system was still prevalent, and the feudal lords exercised control over them. The Dalits, they lived in harmony with nature. They set up their mud huts near the paddy fields, backwater farms, and on the lands near the bunds. They ate the different varieties of fish, crabs, grains, and roots which they obtained from the paddy fields and Kandal groves. Their food was unique, and the upper class people refused to eat the food they ate. And here, Pokkudan says that casteism was visible even in the choice of food. Certain fish were considered polluted and were not eaten by the upper class. However, this unique food with medicinal value made them healthy and strong. The Dalits, the fishes, and the Kandal forest lived together along away from the world outside. That is, the Dalits, the fishes, and the Kandal forest lived together, and they were kept away from the world outside. Those who lived in the Kandal areas were called Dalits, and the working caste people who lived in the forest and permitted felling stations were known as Adivasis. In the feudal system, the best of things always belonged to the landlords. Similar was the case here too. Big fish caught were to be given to the rich and the local lords. And in the Kaipad, where Kandal leaves sedimented in layers, certain medicinal fish like Pottathan, Kakati, and Anapotran were found. This medicinal fish formed an integral part of the Dalits' diet. They caught fish, dried, cooked, and ate it. And here, Pokkudan describes the food patterns of the Dalits. They depended on the rice beaten out of straw, the last grains sticking to the straw even after threshing, after arranging the straw in pile or heaps for a few months. That is, this rice was cooked and eaten along with shrimp, candlebush leaves and colocasia leaves. So this candlebush leaves or candlebush is a medicinal plant having fungicidal properties, and colocasia leaves, that is chamber, are rich in micronutrients, vitamins, calcium and disease-fighting antioxidants. Pokkudan points to the loss of healthy food culture with the onset of homogenized paddy cultivation and modern ways of standardization of food. All this helped them to sustain through the or survive through the rainy months, especially June and July. That is, the food or the rice cooked and eaten with cooked shrimp, candlebush leaves and colocasia leaves helped them subsist in July, that is a month of famine and food scarcity in Kerala. Pokkudan recollects a song which highlights their way of life and how they sustained themselves through the hard times of monsoon. Candlebush and colocasia 10 days, this and that for 10 days, going with and without food for 10 days. The Malayalam version is also given here. Thalam thavareyum pattusam, angane ingane pattusam, vechittum vekkadeyum pattusam. So after this 30 days, when paddy ripens, they would cut the grain stalks in secret and live on that. So this was the pattern of food which they followed. And Kandals grew naturally during his younger days, that is during Pokkudan's younger days, but due to human greed and mismanagement, vast areas of Kandal forests were destroyed. He started planting Kandal saplings as a means to protect and preserve them. This act was recognized and appreciated by other environmentalists, and they too joined hands together with him. He remembers a time when everyone lived in harmony with nature. They did not disturb the ecosystem. The birds, Kandal varieties and fish were named by the old generation of Dalits, and it is in use even now. He wanted to pass on this store of wisdom to the younger generation through his writing. This life narrative draws our attention to the fact that the Dalits lived as a part of the ecosystem and they utilized the resources only for their existence and not for making profit. E.V. Ramakrishnan, in his essay Globalization, Resistance and Social Imagination, observes that Pokkudan's autobiography shows how local knowledge is central to survival in a globalized world and enables us to see the source of violations in our contemporary world. I hope the lesson is clear to you now. Now let's look at the short answer questions given at the back of your text. Question number 1. What is life writing? Answer. Life writing is the recording of memories and experiences, whether one's own or another's. It provides first-hand experiences of individuals and their relationship with society, history, public life, etc. It also articulates the personal insights of the individual concerned. Question number 2. How are memories important to culture and community? Answer. Memories serve as the treasure houses of culture of a community. They enable people to learn from their past experiences and apply that knowledge to respond to the present circumstances. Pokkudan's memories about his race and the close bond they shared with nature enlighten the present generation on the importance of harmonious coexistence of human beings and nature. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.